Absolute value equations. So these are equations with absolute values in them. Pretty simple, huh? These are going to be kind of like the equations with variables on both sides, whereas there can be more than one solution. There can be no solutions, one solution, or two solutions. So let's talk about what happens when there is no solution. So whenever there is a no solution situation, it's when you have the absolute value equals a negative number. And we know that that can never happen because absolute value is always positive. So we're going to write that up here. We're going to say absolute value, I'm writing in pen, so it's really important, is always positive. I'm going to write that in big capital letters. Always positive. So whenever you get something that equals a negative number, there is no solution. You want, if you ever get the absolute value equal to a negative number, there is no solution. So we're going to write absolute value equals a negative number, then there is no solution. Okay? Not x equals a negative number. You can have x equal to a negative number. You cannot have the absolute value equal a negative number. That is a no solution situation. A one solution situation is where you have the absolute value equal to 0. If you have it equal to 0, then you have one solution. It's just whatever is inside that absolute value. So let's rewrite that. Absolute value equal to 0. That means there is one solution. Only what is you have to solve in the absolute value. Two solutions mean you have an absolute value equals a positive number, and then you would solve the resulting equations, and I will show you how that works. So this one you're going to have absolute value equal to a positive number. That is how you can tell how many different solutions your absolute value equation has. Okay. So now here's the way you want to solve absolute value equations. So first, number one, get absolute value expression by itself. You can think of the absolute value expression as a blob. You want to get the blob by itself. That's the important part. And then you can keep solving from there. Then you're going to determine how many solutions there are by looking at this guy. Does your blob equal a negative number? Does your blob equal 0? Or does your blob equal a positive number? That's how you're going to determine how many solutions there are. If there's no solution, then you're done. You don't have to solve because you can't. All right? Then, once you determine how many solutions there are, you're going to draw two arrows, and then you're going to solve those resulting equations. Okay, so this might be a little confusing. Why would I draw two arrows? Well, let's think of a number line. Okay, think of a number line. And I want 0 right there. I want to know what numbers have an absolute value of 3. What's that asking is how many numbers have a distance away from 0 that is exactly 3. So we can remember that absolute value means distance. And distance is always positive. We can never have a negative distance. We always want a positive distance. So if I were to say absolute value of 3, well, any number that has absolute value of 3 away from 0 is 3. What other number has an absolute value of 3 or is 3 away from 0? Negative 3. So I'm always going to have two numbers that have an absolute value of 3 because they are both exactly 3 away from 0. Okay, so that's really, really important. That's why we split it into two equations so that we can find what those two numbers are. All right, so the next video I'm going to do is going to talk a little bit how to solve them, and then you can keep going from there. I'm going to make a few more, a couple for each ones. Good luck. You don't have to watch them, but I would encourage you to at least fast forward through and see the answers at the end so you can know how to do it.